translator, basically, because the sports people couldn't talk technology. I had every new toy because the technology guys were like, well, we want the sports guys to love us. So like Panasonic would come out with a new handheld video camera. I had it. Motorola came out with the new Star phone. I had it. Like all of my friends were like, dude, how do you, like I had every new widget for 2 years. Yeah. Well,
right.
Those were the salad days, as they say, working for nothing. Cameron Ford, welcome to the Security Equation. It is great to have you.
Thank you very much for having me on.
That's it's been a great, what, are we just over a year now of kind of knowing each other?
Yeah. We started talking, I think it was November of last year.
Well, I got to know you because of my bride-to-be in about 20 days. You were on her podcast, her show, and she made me, while I was on vacation, listen to that podcast. And then made me call you at 10 o'clock at night in the British Virgin Islands. And we had a great conversation, and I'm going to come back to that, and we're going to talk about that. But tell us about your background. I want my listeners to really understand how you ended up where you are today and the amazing things you've done in your background.
Yeah, a Cliff Notes version of it would be, I've been lucky enough to be in a lot of places, but I started my career in the military, U.S. Air Force first. Did my time there, stationed in Germany, which was a great place to be in. Then from there, got into the law enforcement community, was a cop, worked as a cop both in Florida and Texas. And then that was the height of the Iraq-Afghanistan war, giving it time frame. So you're talking like 2008, 2009, 2010. Because of being in that community, they needed a lot of trainers out there. So it turns out the Navy SEALs needed more subject matter expert trainers. A friend of mine had the company that had the contract with that. He got me out there, and then that took me to the next level. I felt pretty comfortable experience as former military, former police, and then I got into the Navy SEAL world, and I realized I had to learn a whole lot more. But then that was really took it to that next level for me. So that's kind of what led me. And then after the SEAL team world was over with, when the wars really drew down, there wasn't much going on anymore. I went out to the commercial world and kind of said, you know what, let me go help teach other people. And then that's kind of how Rachel found me and how you and I got together.
SEAL Team Canine. Are you literally training dogs to, have the goggles and jump out of planes with a SEAL team member, or to just give me some visuals of SEAL team training?
It isn't as sexy as that. There's a lot of stuff that people see that is actually not truly accurate, but what we need the dogs to be able to be really good at is locating explosives in a really crazy environment.
Yeah.
And you need the SEAL team operators to be able to be very skilled at working that dog when total chaos and craziness is going on, and to be able to have that dog in those conditions report to you whether something's there or not. And though they may have gear on them and all that kind of stuff, it's actually pretty simple. It's more or less a handler working with their dog, reading their dog, working in a really crazy environment, and then being able to make the right decisions based on whatever occurs in that space. So it's just the hardest thing. The unique things are, the example I can give you is they may be offshore by, let's say, 2 clicks offshore. So 2 kilometers offshore, they got to swim in. And we got to do a thing called OTB, over the beach. The dog's got to clear the beach. So now we know it's safe. We move up to the beach, and then the team members have to go 8 more kilometers before they even get to target.
Right.
Why they're there. So then when the 8 kilometers happens, you got to clear certain things, and then you finally get to where you actually are supposed to do the job.
Do real work.
Yes. So then that happens. So those complexities and all those dynamics is what makes that community and other special forces communities unique, more so than the traditional military dogs.
It's amazing to think about. And for those that are dog owners, as pets, in Rachel and I have 3. I can't imagine trying to keep that dog focused with in the environment that they're in. I mean, at our house, there could be a package gets dropped on the front step and the dogs go nuts.
Yeah. We have to select the right dogs, and then it's the training after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So going back to when we met, look, let's talk about the dog industry as a whole. I've learned a lot about canine in the last 12 months, and I've always been a fan of the need for good canine and canine handlers in the events business. I didn't understand what they were doing and why and how. I understood why they were doing it. I didn't understand what they were doing and how. And I think that what's interesting is our industry, being the events industry, most of my clients and colleagues and even competitors that have hired canine for their events really didn't spend time with, what am I hiring? What are their capabilities? How do I know that I've got qualified handlers and dogs in what you taught me is an unregulated industry? So just talk about, like, give some background and some advice on that front.
So this is, I'm just going to drop a few truth bombs. The first thing is, canine in many situations is a checkbox on a list. Right? They're going down, do we have dogs? Yes or no? Boom. And that's, in a lot of cases, the most thought that goes into it. The next thought is, how much is this going to cost us? And that's the part that starts to become, for me, and the ethos that I carry, which is similar to you, we have to have safety first.
Right.
Money, of course, is a consideration, but it can't be the driving factor to make the decision. So the industry was focused on, do we have dogs there and how cheap can we do this? To the point being, because the end users, the clients, don't know.
Right.
They just know they should, or their insurance requires it.
Right.
So how it got developed was, the unregulated industry could have individuals say, hang up a shingle and say, we're Snoopy's detection dog company and we provide bomb dogs and use us.
Right.
And, Scooby-Doo's company, they charge you $100 an hour, we'll charge you $90.
Right.
And decisions get made that way, which then the bleed out from that is the problems that companies get with false indications, teams that may not really be capable of it. Because in the security world is the expectations, teams are working 10 to 12 hours. And if this is their normal experience, these dogs are at home or hanging out or doing something in between times, like between the next contract, not doing that.
Right.
So then they have to show up there, and on those days, they've never seen that in months. So again, then the end user who hired all this sees these things and then more or less accepts it as usual. So where you and I connected was, what I kind of shared was, a lot of it is window dressing, unfortunately. It's a person in a polo, khaki pants, and a harness on a dog that says do not pet. And they have the teams out there working, they're doing, and don't get me wrong, there are great teams out there doing this, but by number, it's the client likes to have, well, what costs me the least amount? And I don't know, so I'll take this. Meanwhile, when I look at it from somebody who's been doing it 30 plus years, says, that's a bad thing there. Like, why does the handler even know anything? And then those that are hiring, how come you guys, if you're in charge of making the decision, why don't you know at least a little bit about dogs or a little bit about explosives? And they'll say, well, we hired Joe Blow from the local PD, or he's been doing it 30 years. He knows that stuff. And I can tell you right now, even with us and working with, I've talked to the ones that are head of security, former law enforcement, and some asking me questions. So I turn around and ask them back, well, you're not interviewing, I need to interview you too. It isn't a one-way street.
Right.
What do you know? Because if I work with you, how do I know if I talk to you, you even know what I'm saying or what we're dealing with? So,
well, what are those questions? If you were advising, you were just consulting, and you weren't delivering dog teams, give our listeners that, like, what are the 3 questions they should be asking their dog provider? What
type of training do the handlers receive in regards to explosive devices or improvised explosive devices? Number 2, do the dog teams do a type of threat assessment for the area that they're expected to work in? A lot of threat assessments are done in regards to the typical things, like what's a mass shooting has been nearby, but nothing that gets trickled down to what the dogs might face. What type of chemicals have been used in things around here?
Sure.
So do they even know that question? And then number 3, I think, which is probably the most important, what is your standard action on fine procedures?
Right.
When the dog indicates or this happens, what do you do? How do we all know what happens? And what are the procedures that follow thereafter?
Right.
And that's zoomed out version. Those are 3 big things that you should be asking. And you should know, as the potential client, what action on fine procedures look like for you? Like what makes sense for you?
Right.
Do you want them to shut it down immediately to this distance based on this? Do you have a process of, well, let's slow things down a second. Let's do a little bit of talking it takes 30 seconds to get some information.
Yep.
Where has this bag been? Where have you been? You've been in contact with any of these things. Are you willing to open this bag right here in front of us? Yes, I am. Okay, great. Things like that can mitigate it getting spun up one way or the other, the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And so those 3 simple things can be done that will give you a lot of insight, because if they're kind of just winging it as a company, they may give you some like, oh yeah, we put them through an IED class. No, I want to know what it is. Can you provide me copies of what you train your individuals on?
Yeah.
And they should be able to send it to you right away, because now with ChatGPT existing, people can go, ChatGPT, create something for real quick. No. I want to see, or can you give me a handler that have that handler reach out to me so I can talk to them?
Well, you said the training, very critical. I would add to it, because you've taught me, how long ago and how often.
Very true.
Right. Because, did I receive training? Yeah. Back in
2000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, no, it's really good advice. And, when you and I met and you enlightened me on the unregulated industry side, and we really talked about the people side.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the importance of the handler versus the dog, because we've talked about the same thing on the weapons detection and technology side. I can throw as much technology solutions at any event, whether it's in video surveillance and analytics or our Ingresso Tech company with weapons detection systems. If I don't have the right people running those systems, understanding, doing the programming right, or what the con-op, talk about that on the handler side, because I think it's so critical.
Yeah, 100%. Everything gets focused in the dog world about the dog, right?
Right.
So we have to focus on the handler. What continuing education training do the handlers receive? Are they constantly updated with information? Can they make good critical decisions when they need to?
Right.
What is their skill set on making a call? What training do they receive, and how often do they receive it? So the example I'll give you is within Stratus Canine, what we end up doing is handlers progress through training like anything else. We crawl, walk, then run.
Right.
Once we get to the running phase, you are doing stuff by yourself. As a trainer, I kick you loose and say, that's your area, go do your thing. When you're done, come back to me and tell me what you got and why and what you're going to do. That way I can see critical decision. Then I give them written tests frequently. Like, I'll just give you a perfect example. Day 1, when students come to Stratus Canine, they take a written test about explosives and explosive knowledge.
Well, back up. They come to get to Stratus Canine. They have to do what?
They have to apply.
No, they have to go through Ford Canine.
Yeah, yes, correct.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. Ford Canine, correct. Yes. So they're coming through the schoolhouse, right?
Right.
Yeah, Ford Canine schoolhouse, and then they get tested immediately.
Right.
So they're tested immediately on the handler side. What's your knowledge? What's your skill set? As soon as we're done with that written test, they go do what it's called the ATF NORT test, National Odor Recognition Testing. And all this is 2 circles of paint cans. One circle has 15 cans in it. One circle has 15 cans in it, 30 cans total. In that 30 cans randomly is 10 explosive odors, along with 10 distracting odors that are just random things, and 10 blank cans. They're just numbered. You can't see what's in them. So the handlers have to go around and call when their dog indicates what can number that is. I can tell you right now, almost every class we've done, and even when I travel and do seminars for the law enforcement side, I have not had anybody pass the first time.
Right.
And part of that isn't because
even on the law enforcement side.
Even the law enforcement side.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. And it's not because the dogs don't necessarily know odor, but that test is unique in itself. It's searching paint cans.
Right.
And people don't do that because they write it off as like, that's stupid. But what's the easiest way to say your dog smells one thing and says yes or no, something's here. Smells another thing again, yes or no, nothing's there. How hard is that? That's simple. I used to hate this thing too. So I'm the first one to admit I thought it was a bullshit thing to go do. But when I learned to do it, when someone challenged me, they're like, well, if you're scared to do why you're not wanting to do this, it's the simplest thing. If you tell me you can go find bombs in a crazy environment, but you can't smell a paint can.
Right.
So that's an important part with we have to know what the team's capabilities are. How well educated is my handler?
Right.
And then how are they together as a team? Because to your point, a dog may be great. If that handler can't read that or doesn't trust it for their own purposes, we still have a problem.
Right.
And that's a big thing for clients that are hosting an event to know that these aren't just a person holding a leash.
Right.
They actually have a skill set behind them to identify things and to have situational awareness about their environment. They're not just a dog, they're looking at everything else too.
But that's the key to Stratos Canine. When we decided, we decided we were going to acquire Ford Canine, and it was all about the fact that you had this training capability, your background, and your knowledge in it. And I asked you, why aren't you in the dog business? You're in the training and consulting
side,
business, but not the deployment business. Because I knew then, that first conversation, I knew that you were the right answer for building a company to go out and actually provide that right level of service to the events industry. And so the commitment that we made was, we'll only do Stratos Canine if we ensure that every dog and handler passes the Ford Canine process.
Yes.
Goes through the training and comes out with the certificate. So what does that do for that event? What does that do knowing that if you hire Stratos Canine for your event, what's the differentiator? What's the difference maker to that client?
And like when you asked me that question, why aren't you in that segment of the dog industry? It was because I said I didn't want to deal with that because no one took it seriously.
Right.
And for me, it's never been about the money. It's about if you call me there, I'm there to ensure the safety of the public, and I'm utilizing the dogs to make us better at that. And I was never motivated by whatever dollar signs that were there. The other frustrating was in return was the companies that would want to do that want to go the cheapest route possible.
Yep.
And I wasn't going to chase us down to the ground. We're going to circle the drain until we got down the lowest one. No, the only way I was willing to do this is like when you talked about, if we're going to do this, we're the Ferrari dealership.
Right.
We're not, and I'm a Ford. We're not Chevy or Ford. We're not that go kick the tires and whatever. Look this. No. We are specialized at what we do. We invest in the training and education of our people so that way we can put out the best qualified teams to make sure that those who do call us can trust the fact that they're going to get the best capability to do this job as a dog team.
Yeah.
Not just, hey, they're just a dog there. I don't know. I'm just trusting you guys, and we'll see how this works out.
Right. And how's it working? We're into year one. You've had a number of events under your belt for the Stratos Canine team. What's been the feedback from the clients and people so far?
The biggest thing that we've had to do is client education.
Yeah.
Because of what we just said, because they didn't know. And to be straight up honest, they're going to go, well, company A only costs us $90 an hour. You guys are charging $150. I don't get it. What's the difference?
Right.
So I've had to talk and explain why we're different. And that explanation is the training that people are getting that are the first critical piece of information that's happening at an incident is that handler.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that that's the sharpest point.
Right.
And if we aren't starting off that way, because I'm giving you a $90 product an hour because I'm not putting the time and effort in it so I can be cheaper.
Yep.
Or us who says, you know what, we're investing in our people and we have to pay that time to train that. We're going to get a better product at the end, which overreaching goal is to make sure that the safety of the public or the attendees that are going to this have a much better chance to be safe than just we hope it's safe. Right. And we don't want to operate, this business doesn't operate off hopes. We operate as best as we can possibly control, but we know we can't control everything, but we're going to do our damnedest to make sure we're as close as possible.
So let's talk about what's one of the eye-opening moments that, one of your clients, Stratos Canine clients has brought to you.
I'll give you the one that happened was the client said, we noticed there wasn't dogs in these other areas. Why didn't we have dogs there? And my first thing was, you guys cut the budget. I requested this.
Yeah.
I requested enough dogs and we still pulled it off to a level, but I'm with you. I wanted more, but and I know it wasn't these individuals, it wasn't their initial decision.
Right.
But because they said, oh, we didn't know that. The response was, well, we didn't know that.
Right.
And I said, okay, I understand that. But you guys see what we see. We need to provide you the resources. And the minute we put dollar signs in front of people's safety is where I've always had the problem, which is why I hesitated for this stuff before. But to now know that we have the backing to get there, but I also know it's going to take some time. We have to have these conversations. We have to be open about these conversations and be honest with each other and say, hey, look, guys, we want to do this. We're on the same page as you.
Yep.
but trust us. We're just not charging you money to charge you money.
Right.
What we're asking for is what we need to do the best possible job to ensure the safety of everybody attending your event.
Yeah. No, it's a phenomenal point. And look, resources, they're challenging for special events, whether it's staffing, whether it's canine, look, there are budget implications, but it is that insurance policy. I'd rather make sure that we've got the right resources and make sure that we can keep every attendee safe.
You can pay $50,000 now or $253 million a year later.
Right. There's this thing out there about the ears of the dog, right? Floppy ear, pointy ear. I mean, I love the pointy ear dogs. What's the difference? Does it matter?
So I'll go with a little bit of history why it came about. The history was TSA changed over a number of years ago. They kind of shifted from the shepherd breeds and went into the Labrador breeds, the floppy ear breeds referred to, the pointers, the Labradors, etc. And the decision behind that was they wanted the public to feel they could get closer to the dogs and not feel that they would be maybe bitten by them or whatever, because the image of a pointy ear dog is a police dog barking at the back of a police car, right? Or what you see on the cops TV shows. So they kind of instigated this mentality. Now, the truth behind it is genetically, yes, sporting breeds are designed to go hunt. So they're designed to use their nose and they're very good at it. The pointy ear breeds, shepherds, Malinois, Dutch shepherds, they're herding breeds. They're designed to chase things, move things around and bite things. So does it mean that they're any different when it comes to detection? That comes down to the individual dog in front of you. And what our philosophy is, we're going to look at that dog in front of us, and whatever the best dog for that job is what we go with. To also deal with the optics, because it is relatively important. This is why our program has a complete 50-50 mixture. We are literally, I think I shared the other day, it is 50-50 men and women and 50-50 floppy and pointy ear dogs.
Great.
Because we wanted to make sure that, one, we understand the operational aspect, which I do want people to feel comfortable and walk closer to us, because that gives me more of an opportunity to find something if they are carrying something on them.
Right.
The other side is we do want deterrent value sometimes. I want someone to look at this and go, that's a hard target. Forget this. I need to go someplace else.
Right.
So that's a thing that has value that I think sometimes when the focus comes into too heavy on the optics side, like, well, we don't want people to feel uncomfortable. I understand that, but we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
I can still utilize some of these other breeds that have pointy ears. We just put them in a different area.
Yeah.
So don't say no all the way.
Right.
Just tell us where you want the optics, but the good dogs with floppy ears to be at, and we'll do that.
The visual presence means something in certain locations.
Absolutely.
What about, let's talk about vapor wake or not.
Yeah.
I mean, vapor wake came about, I'm going to say, at least in my experience in the industry, I'm going to say 10 to 15 years ago.
Correct.
And the idea was that I can have a dog that can follow a scent and not alert a bad guy. But the dog can identify the bad guy, and I can get resources to take the bad guy down before there's a big bang.
So there's some truth and there's some things that I've misunderstood there. So after 9/11, Auburn University got a lot of money from the government to go find a way to, how can we get in a heavy pedestrian environment like New York City, have dogs in there that can be mobile within that environment and do kind of like you said, start IDing or following somebody that maybe have something bad on them.
That's how it was presented to me.
Correct. Yeah. So then the camera operators should start following, etc. Yep. Since all these years have gone by, there's lots of versions of this. There's what they call MOD, mobile odor detection dogs, vapor wake, pedestrian screening, etc. The sad part to that side of the industry is there's zero certification standard other than because Auburn University trademarked vapor wake. So that actually couldn't be used unless you were authorized by Auburn University to do that, which was only one company. Yeah. So that's why the other names came around. But the goal of this is that it's a optics thing too. And I agree with, it is good to have dogs mobile within the environment, but to this date, no dog has stopped a incident from occurring in this format. It has been in the standard traditional static explosive detection dog that we had success at. Both are good. I think it's great. We still do it. Where we lack as an industry is we haven't come together enough yet to say, how do we evaluate these teams and how do we know that they're good other than those who've created it self-certify or self-evaluate. Right. And that's okay, but we need to have better than that. And that's the bigger picture I try to share is like, I'm good with it. We'll train it. But as an industry, the canine industry needs to come together more to define what we say is operational and successful as much as we can versus it being the Wild West where I say we have it and I can give you some videos and it looks cool. And the person's walking, throws a tennis ball over their shoulder and gives it to the dog and it looks all this great. We need more realism to it.
Will Ford Canine get in the vapor wake training business?
So we already do, again, pedestrian screening. All the students that come to our school go through forms of this because I show them because a lot of dogs love it. It's actually dials right in the dog's genetic tendencies. They love going through flushing, going through hunting it actively.
Yep.
It's actually more exciting for them than searching static things like a desk drawer or etc. So what handlers really realize is all their dogs, they have it. All we got to do is show the dog what we expect because all the dogs up to that point looked at humans as non-targets. They're like, well, I don't care about a human being.
Right.
I've never find something on them.
Right.
All we do is switch it up. We start off with just bags. People walk, first it's just a simple lineup. There's just bags, people holding bags, dog go down a line. Oh, look, there's something here.
Sure.
Then it starts becoming more dynamic. It's moving around. So we show all handlers to do this, but where we want to get to is what I said. I need to have what's the industry benchmark that says we're doing this? I have the 30 plus years of experience that says, okay, I know what a team I can trust. I can go out there and do this.
Yep.
But there's no rubber stamp that says that exists out there other than the point you're bringing up. Vapor wake related companies or certified companies are the ones who say we're vapor wake, but it's still all in-house. There's no independent party from whoever coming over. Let me evaluate you guys.
Yeah.
So that's why it's popular, but it's not totally understood.
Got it. What's the one thing you wish you could change about the canine industry?
That's a great question. I would love it if we stopped focusing on competing with each other and realized, regardless of the color of the patch, regardless of the color of the uniform, we all have the same damn job.
Yeah.
Protect everybody.
Right.
Let's be willing to be open to get better as a group. The old saying goes, rising tides lift all ships. So if we realize, regardless of what we're wearing, we all have the same job, we should train together and be open to each other and be willing to put ourselves through some difficult things in training and have the failures occur so they don't happen operationally. The hardest part we have is our egos get in the way. We don't want to fail in front of each other. We don't want anybody to know there's this, it's just like this magic show. Like, look, don't look behind the curtain. Or I'm the kind that's like, let's open the curtain up.
Yeah.
I need people to see. I need you to feel comfortable with me because that will make the industry, our clients that want to use us, realize that we want to do everything we can to be the best possible resource for them to use when they call us. Because without that, it just turns into these unimportant things that we chase, which is the competitiveness of each other.
All right. What's the coolest thing you've ever done in the canine industry?
Definitely being with the SEAL teams was the coolest thing. Just because the things that we were asked to go do and the places that we were asked to go expect these dogs and handlers to work in, there's nothing else that matched. Like, people always ask me when I got out, because up to that point, I'd been in the dog industry for 20 years. I'd been a police officer, worked bite dogs, all this kind of stuff. So when my time with the SEAL teams ended, I had made a decision at that point. Do I go in the bite dog world? I do what I call the tactical world, where we get to go around with long guns and clearing and dogs biting. Or do I go in the detection world? And detection was what I saw is the future, because what we were talking about a minute ago before we went on air here was, in a world where AI is changing everything, all these jobs are going to go away to AI. Being a dog handler is not going to go away. So in detection is one of those areas that. So I feel like when I did this, the coolest thing was learning from those crazy situations that I could become better and go through that baptism by fire and come out the other side and go, okay, this is what we really need to do. This is how we get better. This is how we focus. This is how I can later on provide jobs for people, ensure security for people, and we're doing it at the right standards and the right levels.
One of the biggest, what I would say, the misunderstandings in the canine industry, I'm going to ask you right now. Mm-hmm. Explosive detection or weapons detection?
Fantastic question.
Can my dog do both?
Fantastic question. So we were before I came here, I was with all the casinos and we just had this conversation because the casinos are now starting to separate them. They're starting to say firearms dog, bomb dog.
Right.
So the answer is, in a law enforcement community, they can get away with doing both because they control the scene. So if a dog alerts, and whether it's alerting to a gun or a bomb, they're going to treat it the same way. They don't care. They're going to block off the area. They don't care. They have no skin in the game what happens because they're cops. They're going to handle it. The commercial world, though, that has big outcomes if we're guessing.
Yeah.
Is it gun? Is it bomb? I don't know. Right. So what we have to do is, by being more specialized at what we do.
Wait, back that up. Yep. Because so just the listeners understand. Yep. The dog can be trained to alert on either.
Yeah, they can. Just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Right. But because of the response, or because it dilutes the dog in any way, shape, or form?
It dilutes making the right decision, because if I think it's a firearm,
yep,
I send somebody up thinking it's a firearm and it blows up on them.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Right.
So we want to make sure in the commercial world, we are as clear as possible to what the dog is indicating to.
Right.
So,
or asked to indicate to.
Correct. So training wise, and I was lucky enough to be part of the research on firearms detection. Texas Tech University and myself, we did the whole study on it. What is it? How do we train it? Everything else. And what we learned was it's gunshot residue is really what's really important, and human scent. Those are two things that are on a gun. It wasn't all these other things. But
human scent. I didn't think. Yeah. I never thought about that.
Yep. And what the bomb world thought of was, well, if I'm training my dog on smokeless powder or black powder, that's the propellant in a bullet.
Right.
It's in guns. Turns out what they didn't know was I can put a full AR magazine, 30 round clip, put it right here. It's equivalent to 1 to 2 grains of powder. That's how much odor is coming out of that. Wow. No one's training to 1 or 2 grains. But what is all over that is gunshot residue. The minute you fire that weapon, that cloud, that burning powder, and what we didn't understand back then was burning powder, or burnt powder, smells totally different than not burned powder. And the bomb dogs are looking for the non-burned powder. Gun dogs are learning. But why the industry felt it could work was because they trained on powders, and then later on they threw a gun out, and the dog goes, well, this doesn't belong here either. I'll smell it. And then the handler rewarded it. And then they instantly started training it, and then they believed it was through these other things. When we actually dissected it, looked at it scientifically, we said, okay, guys, there is a tiny bit of truth, but the real thing is guns smell like this, bombs smell like this. You can add this odor to the bomb world, even by accident, but what you don't know is when that dog indicates, because he can't turn around and go, hey, Cameron, that's actually a gun I'm alerting to, so treat it this way.
Right.
The handler has to follow, we talked about a minute ago, action on fine procedures. So if you have a bomb dog, you have to treat it as a bomb.
Right.
So then you, in your position, start spinning up assets, bomb squad, police department, maybe fire department, because they got to set up areas. And then it turns out it was a spent shell case that they forgot in their bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's millions of dollars potentially of time wasted or an event shut down for that. So if we have clarity, our bomb dogs are bomb dogs and gun dogs are gun dogs, we can provide much better, clear information to the people that need to make decisions.
For sure.
Yep.
Listen, this has been enlightening. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to 2026 with both Ford K9 and Stratus K9.
Same here.
Look forward to it. Thanks, man.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you.
Same here.
All right.
Appreciate it. Boom. All right.
30